Hi everyone, welcome and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Wadzanai Mercy and this is Inside Out. We are back again with another Sheroes video. Sheroes meaning She Heroes, which is a campaign sponsored by Trust Construction where we are bringing in women that are doing amazing things in their different spheres of influence and we are celebrating them. We are bringing out their stories and we are hearing everything about all the things that they've accomplished and how they've gotten to where they are today. Today, we have a very special guest. We have none other than Teresa Nyemba. Just a little bit about Teresa before we begin. Teresa is a chartered accountant. She trained with Ernst & Young and has over 20 years experience. She has experience in manufacturing, banking, social impact organizations, fintech, and telecoms. Teresa is currently the fintech finance director under the Econet Wireless Group. Teresa is a wife, a mother, and is intentional on mentoring women. Hi, Teresa.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. It is such a privilege and an honor to have you today. Hi, Prim.
Hi.
How are you?
Hi, Teresa.
Hi, Prim. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Let's go straight into it. Teresa, we have a couple of fun questions for you before we begin, just to loosen you up and get to know a bit more about who Teresa Nyemba is. Okay. What is your most played song right now?
My most played song.
Yes.
Right now, my most played song is, there's a song called You Cover Me.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my most played song at the
Beautiful.
moment. Yeah.
Okay. What's one thing you've always wanted to try but haven't yet?
Bungee jumping. Or at least I've convinced myself that I would like to try that.
Okay. So if given the chance to, you would do it.
I'm not sure.
Okay. And what is your most proudest accomplishment so far as Teresa? Something you're very proud of having accomplished?
Being a mom.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay. You're a mother of how many?
3 daughters.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
How old is the oldest?
She's 24.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay,
Wow.
beautiful.
Okay, so how old are you? It's very young. I had 20 years in Oh my, very young. Tell me what we You look beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Prim, you can get us started.
Okay, so Teresa, tell us, who is Teresa?
In a nutshell, what is she
In a
about?
nutshell, yes.
I would say that I am someone who is very driven,
Hmm.
who loves to be the best version of themselves. It doesn't matter what I'm doing, whether I'm cooking, whether I'm in the workplace, whether I'm in the boardroom, whether I'm at church or I'm talking to family. I just want to be the best version of myself at all times.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
We're actually talking about this. We're waiting to come in when you're saying you're very intentional about everything that you do. That's very impressive. That's very impressive, Teresa. Okay, so tell us. Okay, so what is the most valuable lesson you have learned from your experience?
What I've learned is that anything is possible if you set your mind to doing it and if you are willing to pay the price. There's a price for everything. You know, someone said that there's a price that you pay for being better and there's also a price that you pay for staying the same. And the price of regret is always worse than the price of doing what you need to do.
I love that.
So for me, it's a lesson that when I'm making my life decisions, I have to choose my pain. There's always going to be pain, but I need to be able to choose my pain and say, is this pain going to be worth it?
Yeah.
And so if the pain is for me to become better, the pain is worth it. But if the pain is going to be regret, it's not worth it. So I then tell myself, get up, do what you need to do so that after a few years, you can then enjoy the benefits of the work that you've put in.
Oh, I love that. Wow. I have a question on intentionality. You said you're a very intentional person. So I am in my 20s. I'm a young mom, a new wife. I'm a director and all of that. And I'm really struggling with managing all of those shoes. How are you so intentional? How are you so punctual? How do you manage all these roles?
Yeah, I think you find that in the corporate sector, there's a lot of talk about work-life balance.
Yes.
I like to look at it a bit differently.
Okay.
To say that in terms of one's life, there are different seasons in your life.
Okay.
And in a particular season, there are certain things that would matter more, or certain things that need to be done in that season.
Okay.
And it's just then having that capacity to understand and say that in this season, what are the things that I need to do?
Okay.
And what do I need to prioritize? And how do I become more effective in terms of the things that I need to do? So something that, one of my mentors also taught me around, for instance, if I give an example about children, they say that you plan for everything in your diary in terms of the work that you need to do. But is there a slot in the diary where you put time with, with my child?
Yeah.
And so that then helps you to be intentional, to say, in terms of my role as a wife, my role as a mother, what are the things that are absolutely important to me? And then you plan for them and you're intentional. So that's what intentionality really speaks to. There's nothing that happens on its own. You've got to be intentional, put effort, plan, and make provision for it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Wow. Okay, Teresa. To the woman out there who thinks it can't be done, what would you say? Because what I've noticed is we were actually sharing about it, that life, as a woman is not easy. I was explaining how I have to deal with my children and school run and still make it. And you still have got to be someone influential. You still have to make it in life, in your career. And I've got a husband. I still have to have gym, and still go and do my exercises and work out. And sometimes it really feels like it's really overwhelming. There are days whereby I feel so overwhelmed. But the desire to want to achieve still remains. So what would you say to some woman who's saying, you know what, is it really worth it? Who wants to give up, who feels overwhelmed? What would you say to her?
I think in life, if you talk to any person, whether male or female, who's very driven and ambitious, they will tell you that there are times in their lives where they are overwhelmed. So it's normal to feel overwhelmed.
Okay.
And you don't have to think that there's something that you are doing wrong. It's perfectly normal. But it's what you do after the feeling of being overwhelmed. So one of the things that is really helpful is to take stock of what are the things that are overwhelming me, so that you itemize them and you are able to really know what it is that is overwhelming you. And then you ask yourself, what can I do so that this doesn't overwhelm me as much? Whether it's doing things differently, whether it's getting, extra help where you can, or whether it's acquiring new skills in the workplace so that you're able to be more effective and efficient in the workplace. But the most important thing is that once you have a desire inside of you for greatness, it means that you will never be settled until you achieve that level of greatness. Because what it means is that there's something in you that is crying out to say, I need to show myself to the world. And you cannot give up. And the moments of being overwhelmed will not last forever. Things will change, things will get better. But we have to be honest and make the necessary adjustments just to be more efficient. And at certain times, there are hard decisions that need to be made. So if you want a life of greatness or a life of significance, you can't afford to do things that everyone else does.
Oh, wow.
So there's got to be sacrifice. You have to sacrifice certain things and say to yourself, what are the things that are important and that will help me achieve the things that I want to achieve? So for instance, I can't afford to spend 3 hours just chit-chatting about nothing.
Oh, wow.
Certain things I've told myself that I'm not able to do because I know the giftings that God has given me.
Wow.
I know what I want to achieve in life. And therefore, I've got my priorities. And if anything else comes, it's really a distraction.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that. Can we talk about leadership? You are in a very high position. What leadership advice would you give, or how is it? I don't know what it means to be a good leader for you. What has worked for you?
I think what has worked for me is just learning from the people that have led me. I've been very fortunate that I've had, great bosses, both men and women.
Okay.
The women have been very helpful in terms of mentoring me. So you'd find that the relationships that I've got with them are beyond the workplace. It goes far beyond. And one of the things that I learned is that people can see right through you. And just being someone who's very authentic really helps because it builds trust with the team. They know that you've got their back. And the role of a leader is really to inspire your team to action. And the inspiring can come through the challenges that you give them, the encouragements that you also need to give them when you realize that one of the team members is, feeling a bit low. You encourage them, you inspire them, and you also give them opportunities to shine. So just being your authentic self and remaining humble. Just because you're a leader doesn't mean you know everything.
Yes.
So you still have to be able to, to take the inputs from the team and just encourage them to become the best version of themselves.
Let's talk a bit about imposter syndrome. Okay, so you are in this room where you're a leader or there's other people that are above you. Have you ever felt like, yeah, I think these shoes are too big for me, self-doubt, or just feeling like you don't belong? Did you ever feel like that when you first went into leadership or anything?
It's a normal feeling because what tends to happen most of the times is sometimes you are not ready for the position of leadership that you get. But people can see the talent and the gem that is in you. Even sometimes before you've seen it yourself. And so in that instance where you suddenly find yourself taking up more responsibilities, those feelings of questioning and doubting come. But what is important is not to dwell in those feelings. What is important is to remind yourself of who you are. And I think it helps if you have another foundation that is unshakable and unmovable. And for me, it's the relationship that I have with God that really then helps me to say, I know who I am. And I know that I'm already accepted by Him. So I'm then not under pressure because I already know that I'm accepted. And so I would say that to the woman out there when you are feeling like, you know what, maybe I'm not good enough, the fact that you are in that room means that you are good enough.
I love that.
Encourage yourself. You already have enough critics and you don't need to criticize yourself. So encourage yourself. Find other people that are also able to just encourage you, but to also give you honest feedback so that you are continuously improving.
I love that.
Okay, Teresa, I'm just, Sheroes is about she heroes. And one of the things that we want to achieve by she heroes is to help other women. How are you helping other women? Because I think it's important that we grow, that we mentor. What Zanai did mention that you love to mentor women. So what are you doing for other women out there?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of room for a lot to be done in terms of, just raising other women. And my small contribution is really just being intentional to say the women that are in my circle, the women that are in my community, I'm intentional about giving them hope. I'm intentional about encouraging them. Because you find that most of the times, people know what they want to do, but they just need that voice, that validation to say, you know what, you can actually do it. They just need someone who's also able to just point them and say, you know what you're struggling with is not new. I've gone through it and this is my story. This is how I overcame this challenge. And because I was able to overcome this challenge, you also are able to do that. So that's what I have been intentional about doing. And it's because there were other women who were also very intentional And so I learned from the best to say it actually makes a difference if you spend the time and you talk to young women, you give them space, they air out their frustrations, and you are just there to be that voice of encouragement. I also, am part of a ladies program in the church, and I also do my part there in terms of, just encouraging women. And it's amazing to see what women are doing out there. Yeah.
If you had to say something to your younger you, maybe your teenage you or your 30-year-old you, what would you say?
I would tell myself that failure is not a person, it's just an event.
Oh, wow.
And this is something I think that Zig
wow.
Ziglar said. And why I'm saying that is that I think when I look back on my journey, there have been times when I have hesitated to do certain things because of just that fear of failure, to say, what if it doesn't work out? But you know what? If it doesn't work out, that's okay, because I'm still in the same place that I was at before I started, and I've learned something new. So I would say to my younger self, go out there, take more risks, take more chances, and just do the best that you can.
Can we talk about your journey? Because with a lot of the interviews we've done, people have given the feedback that we want to know how Teresa got into this office. What were the steps? What was the ladder? What did it look like from university to what was your first job? And then what then led to you becoming the finance director?
Okay. I'll just mention major events.
Yes.
So the first event was, I think, when I was A-level. I was set out to be a medical doctor.
Oh,
I did the
wow.
subjects for me to be a doctor.
Okay.
And then I just came across certain information from one of my friends at school, about a chartered accountant, that a brother was a chartered accountant. I was intrigued. So I gathered the information and I was like, let me give it a chance. So I did the applications. And because it was new, my parents were not receptive. But there was something inside of me that gave me peace.
Okay.
And I was able to follow through on that. Starting to just learn about the profession, what I noticed was that for you to excel at something, you've got to give it your all.
Okay.
So that means just going beyond what is expected of you.
Okay.
And taking the initiative to do a little bit more. If you see someone struggling, you offer to help. If you see your boss struggling, you offer to help. And once people know that you are reliable, you are dependable, they trust you. So they give you more and more responsibilities. And so it's just that stewardship of the responsibility that you have been given, that you go beyond the ordinary to execute. I've also noticed that the professional world rewards those who are problem solvers. So instead of having the mindset to say, one day I want to be the CEO, start solving problems at the level you are at. And then people recognize your problem solving skills and they give you more problems to solve. And that's how you then rise through the ranks. So personally, I've never set out to say, this is the title that I want, this is what I want to achieve. I'm more about being of service.
Okay.
Just what can I do to help? And whatever needs to be done, it doesn't matter what it is. I'm happy to do it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I love that. Anything? Okay. What's the best career advice you've received so far?
The best career advice I've received so far is that you cannot lead if you can't be led. So what that means is that as I am progressing in my career, I have to be intentional about being someone who is easy to lead. Okay. So what do I mean? I go out of my way to make my boss's life easier. Because if I make his life easier or her life easier, they shine, I also shine. And then, when promotions come, it's easy for people to identify people who make their lives easy to say, this one always goes out of their way. So that's saying that you cannot be led if you can't, you cannot lead if you can't be led, just teaches me that, one, I have to be humble. Two, I need to make sure that I do what is expected of me, and I need to be a person of integrity. So that way I make my my boss's life easier.
Yes.
And that in turn is training me to be the leader that I need to be. Because all the attributes that you need as you are not yet a leader, those are the same attributes that you need as a leader. Yeah.
What does your goal setting strategy look like? Are you a New Year's resolutions person? Do you go back to your goals every month? I mean, because I'm sure for you to be where you are, you're a person who sets goals. Are you a person who sets goals?
Yes, definitely. I set goals. So in terms of the goals, they are the short term, which is like your 1 year. There's the mid-term, 5 year, 10 years, 20 years.
I would have actually thought 1 year is long term.
You've got to think
10 years from now.
Yeah, you've got to think long term.
Okay.
Because there are certain things that you need to do now that may only benefit you 20 years from now.
Okay.
So one of the areas that I'm passionate about, it's just financial planning. So at this stage, I'm also thinking to say, what do I want my retirement to look like? Because you need to plan now. So yes, and then there's a process of doing the review in terms of the goals and where you are at, and then making the necessary adjustments. And then sometimes you realize when you are doing goal setting that you were over ambitious, that what you have written down is really not going to happen. And I think it's just that humility to face reality and say, you know what, maybe I need to rethink how I need to do this, but not give up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. In alignment with what you've just said, how do you deal with disappointment? Like disappointment with yourself? Because not every time will you get everything right. Disappointment from people that you work with, the disappointment even sometimes maybe with family. Because what I've noticed with you is your expectations are high as well.
Prim.
Expectations are high as well. I have noticed.
But I love that.
And so I did a course with Teresa, Beyond Success.
Okay.
So she might not know it, but I watched her closely. I followed you closely. I admired you. So even when we were planning this, I kept on saying to everyone, Teresa is particular about time. So I kind of narrated who you are.
She did. She really did.
Yes. On the group, I said, please make sure everything is on point. She's a woman of time. Please make sure. So how do you deal with disappointment? And even like what you said, sometimes we do set goals and you actually realize, you know what, this is just too much. Or sometimes external factors as well happen. How do you deal with that?
Disappointments are never easy to deal with, honestly. And there's just that process of feeling the pain to say, okay, I thought things were going to work out this way, but they haven't. But it's to then say to yourself, I find myself now in this place. Is there anything I can do to change the situation? And if there's nothing, accept it, learn the lessons, and then move on. I think the worst that one can do is to allow oneself to dwell in the disappointment, because it saps the energy off of you. And then it forces you to be like in a frozen state where you're then not able to go out and do something else. So I think just accepting that things didn't work out, you learn the lessons that you needed to learn, and then you move on. And then in terms of, just disappointments by people, whether it's family, I think what helps me is reminding myself that I've also disappointed other people, even if I meant well, but I've been a disappointment to other people. And so it just helps to then look at that situation with grace and sometimes giving someone the benefit of the doubt to say, you know what, maybe things didn't really work out, but their intentions were okay. I think it just helps to be able to maintain relationships and give people a second chance, because we all do mess up at times. And when we mess up, we really want grace to be extended to us. So we might as well start by extending that grace.
Wow. The word accept. You said it several times. It's really, I think this is where most people don't actually manage to cross, to say, let me accept. And I think accepting is not saying I'm a failure. Because there's a difference between acknowledging and blame and accepting. So I really like what you said. I really like what you said.
Can we talk about marriage? How long have you been married?
Yeah, 25.
25
Wow.
years.
So
What is the secret?
I don't think there's a secret.
Okay. Formula.
I don't, you know, life is very complex
Okay.
for there to be like one single secret or formula. But I think it's on a daily basis, just deciding to do the right thing, being able to communicate effectively, and continuously making that decision that I choose love over anything else in every situation.
I love that.
wow. I'm done.
We're learning. I'm learning so much.
Learning so much.
Because I mean, Shiro's is about being a holistic woman. Okay. And many times women are either put in a box where you're either a wife, you're a mom, or you're a businesswoman, and you have to forgo one of the two, or you know, you're put in a box. So that's why we wanted to know who Teresa is holistically. What does your day look like? You know, how do you manage all these boxes? Is it like a juggling act where, okay, at one point I'm holding this ball and then the other one is in the air? Or is it I'm giving 20% to each box? What is it? How do you live a holistic life?
Yeah, that's a difficult question to answer.
Yes.
I think for me, everything is connected.
Okay.
Everything is connected. So it's just me who has these different roles to play. And I try and not box them.
Okay.
But I try and find a way of having everything, you know, connected. Yeah, because everything all comes together one way or the other. So, for instance, in terms of just my role as a parent, it's just to be intentional about, you know, spending that time and also teaching them life lessons that I learn even in the workplace. Because one of the things I tell them is that you are at an advantage because there are certain things that you are going to learn from me that people would ordinarily you know, not have access to. So I try and teach them, you know, the things that I learn in the workplace, just so that they are also able to appreciate what it is that I do in the workplace. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any parting words for the women and the people listening?
Yeah, I think to every woman out there who is listening to this interview, I just want you to know that your life matters, that wherever you are at, it doesn't mean that your life is obscure. Today is a new day, and you've got an opportunity to make the most. And making the most really depends on where you are at, and just making the most of the situation that you find yourself in, and being kind and gracious to yourself. And if you're out there and you're saying to yourself, I've made a lot of mistakes, is it even possible to come out of this mess that I find myself in? I just want to encourage you that there's hope. There's hope for change. There's hope for restoration. So get up, affirm yourself, and start again. It's never too late to start again.
I love that. Can I just ask that one question?
Yes.
Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you really failed or you really messed up? What did you do to get out of that mess? Or maybe a decision was irreversible?
Yeah.
What did you do?
Definitely, you have a lot of those.
Okay.
you definitely have a lot of those. So there's a principle that one of my bosses taught me. It's basically a principle called GROW.
Okay.
So it just speaks to what are my goals, right? And what is my current reality?
Okay.
So when I failed, is to say, with this failure, what is the current reality? And then what are the options that are available?
Okay.
Options.
And then you list the options. And then after you've listed, you then say, what is the way forward?
Wow.
So, for instance, I can give an example. I make a mistake in the workplace, a decision that is not wise, that is going to cost the company. One of the things that I will immediately do is own up to the mistake. Go and tell my superior that, you know what, I made a mistake here. This is what I did, and these are the implications. So owning up gives you freedom. Instead of worrying to say, okay, when people find out what's going to happen, I own up, and then I say, but I think in terms of the way forward, this is what we possibly can do. If it's something that cannot be reversed, I highlight that this cannot be reversed, and we probably just need to take this and then learn from it and ensure that next time it doesn't happen. I think failure will always be part of the process. It's part of the process for growth anyway. So own the mistake and move on.
So you said G is
My goals.
my goals.
Yes.
R is the reality.
Yeah, current reality.
The current reality. O is what are my options?
Yeah.
And then W, what's the way forward?
Yeah.
Girl, I love that. Okay. So if you could live to be 30 with no regrets, or live to be 80 with multiple regrets, what would you choose?
Definitely the 80.
Okay.
With multiple regrets, because it then shows that I was doing something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you do for fun?
If you ask my kids that, they will be like, she does nothing.
Okay.
I like to cook and to bake.
Okay.
So one of the things that I do just to distress is I love cooking, baking. I also love to read. I read a lot, and I read all sorts of things. Yeah.
What's your current read?
My current read is Don't Leave Anything on the Table.
Bye.
I can't remember the author,
Okay.
but it's basically about negotiation, to say if you're negotiating, this is how you...
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't leave anything on the table.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there you have it, everyone. That is Teresa Nyemba. Thank you so much for joining us today. This was a very insightful interview. I think we're all going to go back and be writing notes and be learning from it. So thank you so much. So to everyone, thank you for watching until the very end. That is the end of this video. We will see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye.